Something major is unfolding on the global stage right now, yet almost no one is noticing. The United States just slapped Switzerland with a steep 31% tariff, and in response, the Swiss are beginning to step away from their close ties with America. Around $50 billion in exports is now at risk. But this isn't just about luxury watches or fine chocolate. We're talking about critical medical supplies that could disappear from American pharmacies, all while prices for other goods start rising sharply. Washington's new playbook is being called strategic uncertainty. And yes, it's just as vague and confusing as it sounds. The United States is no longer following any clear rules. Instead, it's forcing the global community to constantly guess what comes next. Under Trump's second term, America has embraced economic unpredictability, threats, penalties, rewards, then sudden reversals. This recent meeting wasn't symbolic. Switzerland and China agreed to deepen ties across finance, science, clean energy, education, even winter sports. They also declared 2025 the Year of Culture and Tourism. As part of the deal, China eased visa rules for Swiss travelers, while Switzerland promised easier entry for Chinese tourists and business people. So, while the United States escalates trade wars and distances itself from longtime partners, Beijing is responding with patience, strategic deals, and soft power. Switzerland's move isn't some fluke. It's a signal to the global economic system built after World War II. Trust on the world stage is fading. Even neutral nations are reevaluating their options. If a country like Switzerland is hedging its bets, who's next? Of course, not every nation will change course overnight. Many still depend on United States military protection or financial networks, but a shift is clearly underway. What's crucial to understand is that this change didn't start with Trump. Even under Biden, the United States began retreating from globalization, supporting local manufacturing and blocking China from key tech sectors. But Trump hasn't just pulled back. He's swinging a wrecking ball at the entire system. Tariffs have returned, not just to protect United States jobs, but to strong-arm foreign countries into changing behavior. Here's the twist. Trump says the U.S. is being treated unfairly by the world. But World Bank data tells another story. China's average tariff is just 3%, not the 67% Trump claims. Even if no more tariffs are added, America's baseline rate now sits at 10%. That's 3 times higher than China's. Trump's team loves to brag about over 200 new trade deals. It sounds huge until you realize most are minor add-ons tucked inside bigger unresolved issues. There's no real strategy, just headline-grabbing moves and confusion. It's economic policy powered by shock and spectacle. And ordinary Americans are paying the price. Basic goods are up 20%. Some Chinese products are now hit with tariffs as high as 245%, raising prices on electronics, appliances, toys, and clothes. Families are pulling back. Even wealthier consumers are starting to hesitate. Importers saw this coming. They rushed to stock up earlier in the year. Now warehouses are full, and new orders are slowing. Analysts warn that imports could drop 77% this quarter alone. And it's not just foreign exporters that are hurting. American businesses that depend on imports, factories, retailers, logistics firms, are all getting squeezed. Swiss watches, German car parts, Korean electronics, they're all getting too expensive for U.S. buyers. Even the U.S. manufacturers that were supposed to benefit from tariffs are struggling. They still rely on overseas components to make their products. Automakers, tech companies, pharmaceutical firms, they're all facing delays, rising costs, and shrinking margins. Made in America sounds good on paper, but in practice, it's often slower, costlier, and sometimes impossible without global supply chains. But perhaps the biggest loss is trust, and trust is incredibly hard to rebuild. For decades, the U.S. was seen as the steady hand in the global economy, promoting fair trade, offering leadership, and upholding stable rules. That reputation is cracking. Countries that once looked to Washington are now quietly turning elsewhere. India is deepening ties with Russia. Brazil is strengthening trade with China. BRICS is gaining influence. Even Europe is starting to back away, building its own economic defenses. A new world is emerging, one where trust is fragile, and alliances can break overnight. Here's the hard truth. Globalization isn't just slowing, it's unraveling. And the United States is helping to push it off the edge. Still, it's true. Many Americans do feel abandoned by decades of free trade. And the desire to protect local jobs isn't without merit. But the real challenge is creating a smart strategy, one that defends jobs without alienating partners. Yes, there might be a few short-term wins. A factory reopening here, a trade deficit dip there, but long-term, the risks are massive. Higher costs, broken alliances, a chaotic global economy, and once that kind of disorder takes hold, good luck putting it back together. While Washington keeps sending tough messages and raising tariffs, China is playing a much quieter game. It's carefully closing its doors, slowly, strategically. Access to its $17 trillion consumer market is shrinking. And now, U.S. companies are feeling the chill. Most people forget. American firms aren't making their real money exporting to China. Their profits come from selling inside China. Apple, Starbucks, McDonald's, GM, they don't win big from shipments out of California. They win big from stores in Beijing. In fact, U.S. businesses earn 6 times more from operations inside China than from exporting to it. Now imagine what happens when that revenue stream dries up. China isn't in a rush. It's adding small delays, new regulations, and encouraging consumers to buy local. It's quiet. It's legal. And it's working. Corporate earnings are dipping. Stock prices are shaking. And boardrooms in America? They're growing anxious. Some companies are shifting to India or Southeast Asia, but the transition is still underway, not even close to complete. And here's the twist. This time, China can afford to pull away. Back in 2018, Chinese consumers didn't have many local options. But in 2025, they've got plenty. Xiaomi and Huawei are squeezing Apple. Luckin Coffee is taking on Starbucks. Chinese EVs are rivaling Tesla at half the price. U.S. brands are in slow retreat. And for every American name that fades, a Chinese brand rises. And this shift isn't just in retail. It's happening in tech too. Right at the heart of the microchip war. America's bold strategy? Block China from high-end chips, restrict NVIDIA's AI processors, cut off China's military tech dreams. On paper, it looked like a checkmate. But then came the Ascend 91D, Huawei's new AI chip, built entirely in China. No, it's not as powerful as NVIDIA's H100, but it doesn't need to be. It's good enough. Huawei plans to ship 800,000 units this year. That's brute force, chip edition. And when the goal is to serve the global south, quantity can beat quality. Because now, this isn't just about tech. It's about geopolitical power.